Hey there, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is your host, Sam, coming at you with another episode of Mouthpiece Spotlight here on the Samuel Plays Brass channel. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. It really helps out. And without further ado, let's put the spotlight on the Conn 4. The Conn 4 is very much the box 7C of the Conn family. If you were to purchase a CG Conn instrument from basically any point in the 20th century, chances are you would find this exact mouthpiece on it, the Conn 4. It's available on both a trumpet and cornet shank. To all intents and purposes, these are exactly the same mouthpiece, just with different ends, so it doesn't particularly matter which one we look at. We're going to be taking a look at the trumpet one today. Size-wise, the Conn 4 is a pretty tricky mouthpiece to pin down. Different players report wildly different findings from it, so I'll do my best to start objectively and then transition into how different players feel about it, namely me, because I am me, but nonetheless, the Conn 4 was designed supposedly as Harry Glance's version of the 7C. I think there are a couple of differences that distinguish it from the modern 7C. For instance, that rim contour is a lot sharper than what you would get nowadays. It's also one of Conn's narrower rims. The Conn 2, for instance, has the same cup diameter but a wider rim. And these two factors have earned it the reputation as quite an uncomfortable mouthpiece by many players. I find it uncomfortable as well, but for different reasons. We'll get to that. The diameter on this is similar to a block 7C, but I think it's closest to my block 8C. I've heard reports of anything from 7 to 10.5. And I think my 8, which I otherwise don't get terribly much use out of, is right up the same alley. The cup is a lot deeper than I would consider a Bach C to be. It's most similar, I think, to my Bach 1.5A. The A cup is quite a lot deeper, and I think that's the same in this case. Now, as for that rim, the reason why people find it uncomfortable can vary. For instance, I said this was one of Conn's narrower rims. It is still too wide for me, because as a consequence of playing on large cupped mouthpieces, I'm used to pretty narrow rims. A lot of wide mouthpieces have actually narrower rims than their smaller counterparts. It's confusing, but essentially, for me, the rim is too wide. For many, it's too narrow. It's a happy medium that no one seems to be very happy with. I consider the best application of the Conn 4 mouthpiece to be in the vintage jazz sphere. The only other time I think I've referenced this mouthpiece in any capacity on the channel is a video I did a while back on finding the right tool for the job and not necessarily sticking to one mouthpiece for all of your playing. I personally am very illoyal with mouthpieces. I use a bunch of different ones, so you can hear me talk about that up there in the top right corner in the card. I think that's the top right corner. I'm always wrong somehow. Anyhow, I think the reason it works well in vintage settings is the fact that it has this small diameter coupled with a pretty sharp rim, coupled again with this deeper sort of cup. What you get from that is a thinner and more diffuse sound that's also very easy to do vibrato on. I personally can't do shakes on it very well because of how it feels like the rim is ironed to my face. But like I said, the vibrato is nice and easy because of this more diffuse nature in the sound. The cornet version on a nice dark cornet is also great for early American brass band, which is, I should mention, very different from UK brass band. You definitely should not walk into a UK brass band rehearsal with a Conn 4 cornet mouthpiece. You'd probably get sent home. But in any case, I think it's good for sort of the early American vintage record style music, if that makes any sense. I think every mouthpiece is a trade-off between ease of playability and sound production. I personally lie closer on the end of good sound versus easy to play because I play some what would often be considered taxing mouthpieces because I like the sound. However, this is too far on the extreme of sound for me. Although this is a pretty expressive mouthpiece and you can get a wide variety of sounds on it, I personally don't feel comfortable using it on anything other than vintage jazz because I just don't feel as though I have control over what I need to. It takes me many tries to get anything right, even if when I do get it right, I feel like I can do a lot with this mouthpiece sound-wise. So it's not very comfortable for me to play. If you play a lot of Dixieland stuff and you know how to kind of dial this mouthpiece in, then it could be for you. Otherwise, it definitely feels like kind of the 7C that you find in the case, you play for a couple of years, and then for better or worse, you grow out of it and don't really play it again. I think having thrown my second mouthpiece in the video is a good point to end it off. That was a spotlight on the Conn 4. I hope you enjoyed this brief little video. I haven't got a ton to say about it, and I didn't want this to be the super exhaustive test the low notes, test the high notes, test the articulation. This was more of just a general overview of what the Conn 4 is, what it's meant to be, how people feel about it. So if you enjoy this style of video, make sure to leave a like and comment down below. It really means a lot and keeps me making this kind of content for you. If you want to see more Mouthpiece Spotlight videos, again, I think that's the top right, so make sure to check out the card there for more. Thanks again so much for watching. This has been the Conn 4. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.